Welcome to my podcast. Once a week, I host one of my fans and I give them a chance to ask me their questions, whether very tough or easy, or whatever it is that they have on their minds. Today, I have one of my fans, Olive, who has joined me. So Olive, what generation are you? Which gen? Are you Gen Z, Gen A, Gen C? What gen are you?
Wow, I'm Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Yeah.
All right.
Gen Z.
So this will be my podcast with questions from a Gen Z.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm ready to go. As soon as I get my coffee, I'll be able to start.
Okay.
The first one is maybe from you. What is your favorite maybe activity or action that you've seen me do?
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me. It's a pleasure having you, the internet phenomenon. My name is Olive Serada, and I am a very huge fan of yours.
Wow.
Yeah, I think my first time to see you was on TV because we grew up seeing you on TV. You have a lot of beautiful causes you fight for. And my favorite interview was "Why Are You Gay?"
That's right.
Yeah. On TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, it's everywhere.
Really?
And it's hard to believe that it's like 11 years old. You know, it's like it was shot yesterday. So yeah.
I think it's more than 11. I think it's about about maybe 12, 13 years old.
13 years old.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it every day. So
Every
we have
day.
like small clips that people post, and yeah, it's really an amazing interview the way you bombed in. Yeah. So I wish I could also bomb in.
What's your favorite part of the debate? What do people love?
About you, Pastor, people like the fact that you come with instruments. That you bring the evidence all the time. That you're always looking for the vegetables. Yeah. And we like the fact that you eat the evidence.
The evidence.
Yeah, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So what questions do you have for me today?
Well, I have a few questions for you, but let's first go to Rwanda.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you heard about President Kagame.
I did, and I posted about it.
And unfortunately, it's not the first time he's closing churches. More than 1,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's your take on that? Like, who gives him the powers? And why is the church so quiet when he does that?
Well, first I must say I have a lot of respect for President Kagame. I think he has done tremendous work for his country, rebuilding it after the genocide, coming from Uganda to go and liberate Rwanda. I also I thought it was really interesting when I was in the US giving a speech, thank you, and I was speaking in the Bible Belt, Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, and I found when I would speak in these colleges, many students from Africa, about 50 each school. And I asked them, they would stop over and say, "Where are you from?" They would say, "Hey, we are from Rwanda." So I said, "How did you get here? And what are you studying?" Many were saying, "This is 2003. They said, "We're studying aeronautic science, we're studying medicine, we're studying pre-law." And I said, "How did you get over here? There's so many of you," because there were hardly any Ugandans. And they said, "Well, President Kagame came over to United States and asked these colleges, because they're people in the Bible Belt, they're believers, and said, look, we've had trouble in Rwanda, and we want you to help us rebuild our leadership. Could you give us some scholarship for our students?" And they came up with a deal, like if a college would give like 20 scholarships, President Kagame the president would sponsor 20.
Wow.
So as I toured US, giving speeches, I found that there was a big number of college students from Rwanda. And I thought that was brilliant because before he launched Rwanda Air, he was training many young Rwandese. And but it was really the generosity of Americans in the Bible Belt. This is called the Bible Belt, the Christian part of United States. Now, when I heard about churches closing down, but this is not the first time.
Yeah.
I closed down 1,000 churches, and this time last week it closed down I think 6,500 churches. That's a whole lot of churches.
And mosques.
And mosques. The mosques were before. So I tweeted about it. I said, Mr. Kagame, I don't think it's right for you to close down churches that you don't agree with. Maybe they don't have the right standard or they don't have the right theology. And I say it's a violation of the fundamental right to worship. Because imagine how many people are being helped by those churches.
Many.
Now granted, there may be some people who maybe, there's always some people who are not doing the right thing. But those churches are serving thousands of people. People have gone through, genocide. People are dealing with psychological issues. People are dealing with trauma, family stuff. So those churches must be recognized that they're doing and they're serving people. And besides, they're providing worship to God. Shutting down worship, a house of God, is, it sounds like blasphemy to me. Because the president, that is the executive, must recognize the independence. The democracy stands on the independence of the judiciary, the independence of the executive, the independence of the legislature, that's the parliament. Then we also talk about the third estate, the fourth estate, media independence, and then the church must also be independent. So I say that if there are churches whose pastors don't have certificates, and this time it wasn't Catholic Church. These are the Pentecostals, the Charismatics, the indigenous churches. These are the minorities. Now, religious minorities must be recognized and accepted. And not because they are smaller and they're not as organized like the bigger churches, they end up suffering persecution. I know because I've gone through the same thing at Makerere University, where I've been serving as a pastor. I'm going to share that with you in a minute. Our churches suffer persecution. And I said, I think the best way is to do what is called affirmative action, or helping those pastors to do two things. Build their capacity to self-regulate, and number two, to train them so that you give them time to train, support them. In the same way the government is putting money for people to go and study in America, he could also be able to do that. He could be able to say, look, I'm providing scholarships to these theological schools as a state. We recognize the importance that you play. We know you need affirmative action. Affirmative action is what we do to help people, even if they don't deserve it. We give 1.5% marks at Makerere University, where I went, to girls, because we want to empower girls to enter the college.
As the girls don't deserve the marks.
No, they don't.
They
don't. They don't deserve it, but they are given 3 marks, not because they scored them academically. They just give it to them because there is what is called, if people are not well represented in an area, we help them to come up. That's what's called affirmative action. So I think that's what President Kagame should do. I think that instead of shutting down churches arbitrarily, instead of looking to, hostility between the church and the state is just bad. And there's been a long history. Now, United States of America has, from the days of, I think it's President Trump who appointed an ambassador for religious freedom. And his job is to make sure that states, recognize and give freedom to especially religious minorities. So I reached out. This time he's a Muslim. I think it's Hassan. I forget the name. And I said, look, you really need to support the churches in Rwanda because they are suffering. I've also written to him concerning our situation at Makerere University because our born-again Pentecostals, unlike the Catholics and Anglicans, are being persecuted. Our freedom of worship rights.
Yeah, on that, Musumba.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask on that question. As born-again believers or students, we are forced to go outside the university because we can't find our space of where we can worship and fellowship from. We are pushed to
at Makerere University.
Yeah, at Makerere University.
Yeah.
And we are pushed to worship with the Anglicans. We are pushed to worship with the Catholics. Like, no, we are not Catholics. We also believe, we have our own faith. So why is the born-again faith or the born-again group is not enjoying religious freedoms?
Well, I think that people have bias. I think President Kagame made a mistake to close down churches. And it's the same thing that Mr. Nawangwe, the Vice Chancellor of Makerere, did. Our church has been meeting in the School of Medicine, providing spiritual formation for university students. That's where you've seen those British guy, the one who came and from BBC. We have been providing the prime time event at the swimming pool. That's the volunteers come from that church. But unfortunately, after COVID, after churches have been closed down, they refused our church to reopen. And they said that the university constitution only recognizes 3 religious groups. That's Anglicans, Catholics, and Muslims.
Really?
Yeah.
And what does the constitution say?
The Constitution of Uganda says in the 1994 Constitution, I think 95, that says that you cannot discriminate people on religious grounds. So after talking to Mr. Nawangwe and the university, they just were not seeing it. You see, there's a lot of institutional bias when religious majorities have been operating and religious minorities are seen as small. They say, oh, we don't have land, or you are they're divided. They always come up with so many excuses to keep minorities down. The same thing that was done to women to keep them oppressed is the same thing that we're experiencing. So they said, oh, you born agains are divided. So I actually went and I got letters from our Apex group. They're called Apex group. There's 4 of them. One was led by Mr. Joshua Rayleigh, Bishop Rayleigh, who was reading the National Fellowship of Born Again Churches. One is Dr. Serwada, who was leading a group called, still is, Born Again Faith Federation. One is called EFU, it's still led by Reverend Simon Peter Emiao. And then the last one is a new one, COPE, or Confederacy of Pentecostals and Evangelicals, led by Bishop Michael Chazi. Now, all of those 4 wrote letters endorsing me as a chaplain of the born-again Evangelical Pentecostals Charismatics at Makerere. But still, Mr. Nawangwe and the administration refused. So I had to take them to court. We went to the Equal Opportunity Court because this is a violation of our rights. Born-agains, as you say, do not enjoy the rights of freedom of worship that Catholics, Muslims, Anglicans enjoy at Makerere. That's discrimination. So they had agreed that they would give us land. When we were in court, Mr. Nawangwe sent the university secretary, said, look, let's sit down with Pastor Sempa, let's form a committee, let's have mediation. And then in the mediation, they agreed that they will give us, before this new semester starts, in April, land for a chaplaincy. We were asking for 4 things. We're asking for the gazettement of a chaplaincy for the born again. We were asking for equal rights and have a housing for the chaplain, land on which we will build our place, and then also do an institutional review to see how Pentecostals, born again charismatics, are discriminated, and take affirmative action to address them. Unfortunately, Mr. Nawangwe, instead of allowing our church to open, he wrote to me about 2 weeks ago saying, "No, we're not going to give you a chance. We are waiting for some policy." And I just don't understand, because recently he at the 100 years celebration, I mean, every group had meetings, but he invited Pastor Robert Kayanja, who held the prayers at at Freedom, the main place, the Freedom. What is that? It's called Freedom Square. Yeah, Freedom Square, and that Freedom Square was a place where Pastor Kayanja held prayers, and then even the university, Mr. Nawangwe, donated money to Pastor Kayanja to go and do some charity work in Karamoja. So that did, it did wait. We don't. Why is it that can be given? And now, Mr. Nawangwe's wife goes to Pastor Kayanja's church. So I guess there's a bit of favoritism there. But why are we waiting for? Why are the Catholics given? Why are the Anglicans given? Why are the Muslims given? And the born-agains are not given, even if the policy is not there? This is emergency. So I really think that what Mr. Nawangwe is doing is similar to what Mr. Kagame is doing in Rwanda. I think it's misadvised. I think it's necessary to address this issue of providing religious freedom for the Pentecostals, born-again charismatics, to deal with the institutional bias. Some people don't like born-again. They just don't like us.
Yeah.
They keep coming up with all the stereotypes. You're divided, or you ask for money, or you pray in tongues, or you are uneducated, or you just pray in tongues. And all of these are used as excuses to deny us our right to pray. I mean, Makerere is ours. It's a public land. It's owned by Ugandans. It's not owned by Nawangwe or his group. Number two, you cannot discriminate and give Catholics and then say, "Are you born again?" We can't. No, that's against the Constitution. So we're going to be going back to the court and appealing to court, because we have not found a willingness. And I think we have to educate people. How many people's lives have been changed from drugs? How many people have been told to leave and stay away from homosexuality? And sometimes I wonder if it's because, some of our donors at Makerere, they are pro-LGBTQ. We had in the School of Law, Professor Tamale and her husband. They had a Huripik. And they were teaching for a long time that homosexuality is constitutional. And they even put it in the institutional strategic plan of Makerere University to recognize sexual minorities.
What? So, Pastor, what you're saying, that they're doing it intentionally?
I think so. I think they definitely have a chance to address, and there's enough land for the Pentecostals and minorities, but they're refusing to do that. But number two, I think they may be biased because maybe some people want maybe one of their pastors to be, but I'm the one who's been there. There's nobody's church that has been closed. Mr. Fanera, Apostle Grace Lubega, has got his church. It's just open, broke ground at, he just did at Naguru. Naguru, he just broke ground. Pastor Kayanja's got his church in Rubanga. I'm the only one whose church that's been going for 20 years is the one that was closed. So I think that I'd like to ask those who have been to Prime Time, those who have been to Makerere, to reach out to Mr. Nawangwe and the leadership of Makerere and speak to them and say, look, you cannot discriminate against the born again. You cannot deny them a chance to train and provide spiritual formation to the people. And you cannot continue denying them a right to exercise their right to worship.
Yeah,
to freedom
especially us, the students, we are the ones that are affected because we don't have a place to worship from. So, yeah, you should consider that.
Not only do we want to have a place of worship, we want to have a student center. a student community center where we can be able to have creative arts and fellowship. We want to have a place where people can play games and have life. It's a life center. So, so many born again, they're praying under trees. There are people who have been praying in, as we're almost like squatters in our country. We're like second class citizens. And I refuse that. I refuse to be put in that position.
Wow, Pastor. I think they've heard on that topic you really explained. So, to whoever is concerned, please, we need our freedoms. So, Pastor, you mentioned about United States. How was your experience there?
Oh, it was fun.
Yeah.
I went because my son had just graduated.
Wow.
And he was delayed because he had a brain tumor.
Wow.
And actually, he discovered that when he came over last time to Uganda. And he was having this, epileptic, fits. He would just black out and fall down and collapse. So that happened like 3 times. And we had to raise money to send him to go get surgery, brain surgery. He did that, and I think that was in we got a hospital in North Carolina.
That's the United States.
Is it South or North? I confused the two. But he got surgery. I actually want to recognize. I wrote to the Mr. Nawangwe and asked for a contribution, and he did. He gave me a contribution towards my son. I thank you, Mr. Nawangwe, and others who support. When you're going through difficult time, you ask for help. So Josiah came over he went to Tanzania because he had to learn Swahili.
Wow.
Yeah, he was trying to learn on Duolingo. Duolingo can give you some basics, but really you gotta experience.
You can't order.
So he went to Dar es Salaam. He spent about 2 months there, and he was able to succeed in learning Swahili. We traveled to the United States for graduation in Virginia. That's where he did. He did a course in U.S. government.
Wow.
Now, in Swahili, it's really nice because they would ask him, "What did you study?" And he said, "Siasa." Now, siasa in Swahili is politics, but it's also like banter, gossip. You know how politicians, they speak siasa. And my son Josiah, he loves siasa. So anyway, he graduated, and it's been a few years that I wasn't there. I did go to graduate school in Philadelphia. I got a chance to visit my friends, and I traveled around. It was really interesting. When you went, I was in Uganda 4 years or 5 years before traveling. You sometimes experience the limitations of Uganda. People are graduated, people have degrees, people have papers, but there's no jobs.
No jobs. So on that, Pastor, exactly where we're going. So you talked about externalization of Uganda, that young people should go overseas to work. But we have young people every day going to the UAE, the Arab Emirates. So how is it different from the...
Listen, when you look at the salaries, like I was looking at my degree, I have a master's degree in biblical counseling and psychology. And if you have a master's degree, your starting salary is about $75,000 as a chaplain. As a psychologist, you can be able to get certified, and you make $80 to $100 an hour. That's about $800 a day. That's good money. But even if you're not educated, but I know many people. I just saw our medical students fighting to get certified. It's called internships, right? Yeah. So anyway, I was in Philadelphia. Could you bring up a video of Philadelphia? And I was in Philadelphia, and I was just looking at the jobs. I was looking at the experience. Man, they have good markets. It's I have many relations there, but their jobs. I found some Ugandans, over there who are working.
Wow.
They're having a great time. And at the airport, some are doing nursing, some are doing technical work, some are into accounting, but people are working quietly, They are making, and they are sending dollars where?
Yeah.
To Uganda. So I began saying, you know what? Some of these guys, they say, Pastor, I stopped in senior 2, senior 3, but I came here and I've been able to do that. I began studying about the diaspora community and how much money is sent back home. Now, the leading provider of money from the diaspora in Africa is Nigeria. They send about $5 billion every year back home. Kenya sends back about 2.5 billion US dollars. Ugandans send back about 1.3, 1.4. It's the same amount of money that we make from coffee. Now, I was like, my God. But there is no deliberate effort to externalize. When you look at Nigeria, there are people who are planning and helping young people to go and get jobs overseas. When you look at Rwanda, what I just talked to you about, people going to go study and begin to work. Because after you do your first degree or second degree, you get a chance to work. In the United States, you get experience there. Wow. So people can actually be able to get their governments supporting them. So I began coming up with the idea that we need to actively find ways of sending our young people. Now I'm glad about people going to the Arab world, but it's too little money and non-expertise. But number one, in both UK, Europe, and America and Canada right now, they want certain workers. And if you prepare yourselves, you become qualified. For example, computer people, truck driver. Now in America, what we call a trailer here? It's called a tractor trailer. Now, it's a job that you can do, and you make good money per hour. You can just Google how much you can make. Now, some of my friends are in the United States, Ugandans, who say, Babga trailer, they ride from New York to Arizona to California. They move goods. Now, and then nursing, most of the American system is very interesting. Like in Africa, your elders get old in their homes, and they die in their homes.
Yeah,
and they are supported by the children around. Yeah. Now, in America, when people get older, they are sent to nursing homes, and then they don't have people to support them because everybody's too busy. Well, that's Philadelphia, where I'm talking about.
Wow.
Really beautiful, very green city.
How can we go there so much?
We
want to go to
We want to, yeah, we prepare you. And so you need to prepare yourself.
How?
And people want, many of the colleges, many of the employers, they're looking for black people. They want black people.
Oh.
They do.
Why?
This is the aim, because they recognize minorities. Black people need affirmative action. So if you're college and you don't have black people, you have a problem. If you are a business and you don't have black people, you have a problem. Now the problem is there is a diminishing birth rate. The community of African Americans is diminishing, and I think there is need. Yeah, when I was, okay, I'll take an example. There is 3.5 million black American women who are educated, who don't have partners to marry them. So we need 3.5 million African men to go to marry and help some of our African women in Black America.
Wow.
That's one. There is opportunity to do nursing in the medical healthcare industry. There is many opportunities that people are coming up to either to school, to go work, but people are used to, they're afraid. Nobody's actually helping explain the opportunities that are there. For example, who is the greatest promoter of Uganda to bring tourists to Uganda?
Churches?
Watoto.
Yeah.
Touring groups. Because what do Western people love about Africa? Culture. We have opportunity to send many music groups like Mr. Who is the gentleman at Dere Center? Is it Rabende? It's a name like that, of the Dere Cultural Center. So he tours the US. Now we need to take our people to tour the United States, to tour Canada. Part of it is touring, and as you tour, you make money as a result of that. We have to find a way, and to me the last part is that people need to know, people in the West are no longer really reproducing. They have what's called demographic winter. This is very well highlighted in Japan. I don't know what's wrong with Japanese. They don't have sex. Even when they are married, they're not giving birth to babies. Yeah, Singapore. So they don't have, they have all these factories, they have all these truck, delivery, they have manufacturing jobs, and there's no people. Because the Japanese are not getting married, and even when they do, they don't give birth to children.
They have depression.
I don't know what's going on with it, but Africa, we have people. Uganda, we have people, and some of the people are very bright. So at some point, what we are seeing with now that it's very difficult to get visas to these Western countries, at some point in the near future, they're going to be begging us. They're going to be begging us to come.
Yeah, they're already begging us.
For real. I mean, Japan is beginning to say, look, we need, I think Uganda just signed an agreement with Japan to have 6,000 jobs last week or 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So people need to know, we need to learn Japanese language. The second most spoken language in America is Spanish. If you are African American and you can speak English and you can speak Spanish and you have a hard working ethic. Now, one of the things I see about Uganda is because we are so used to this chitezi type economy. Okay? People don't keep time. People are not hardworking. People are not affirmative. Like in American, you can't just talk as if you are so. No! American style, yes. No. Yes, you show up on time.
Yeah.
If you say you're going to do something, you do it. You don't do kukubidayo. You will lose the job. You don't cut line. You keep order. And whenever you study and get another paper, your salary increases. So, I really think what in the next, I hope to actually talk with, whichever, whether it's Kamala Harris, or Trump. Right now, they are all looking for the black vote. And I would like to go to the Congress and move to have a bill to bring in about 3.5 million African men
to the United States.
Wow.
As
As part of my straight nation.
That's
so that they can marry. We have to find a way of helping. We have to help those ones also to get married.
So we get the green cards.
Green cards, whatever, it can be done. I really think we need to do research and development and see what is an area that we need, people are needed. England right now, you see these interns around who are, I talked to a friend of mine who's in England, and he says, Pastor, ask those young men and women not to have a criminal record on their state. Don't protest. Don't get arrested by the police. That's going to make your records bad. Listen, if you're a student or if you're a doctor in healthcare and you are frustrated that you're not being deployed, I beg of you, do not get yourself into being arrested. If you can speak or if you can write a letter, write the letter. Don't get yourself arrested, because when you have a criminal record on when they do a search on you and they find a criminal record, it will set you back. It will. But apply, you can actually apply as a nurse to work at the IHS, Look up at the website. I think the website that I was looking at is www.ihs. One of my friends was telling me about that. They actually do have a point over there where you can begin to apply. Where is that paper that I'm looking for? Is it IHS? www.ihs.com. And look up at work visas read up on it, working as a healthcare provider, as a nurse. And there's a whole list of jobs that are available. There's scholarships for the Commonwealth. It's easier to travel to other countries if you're in the Commonwealth. So many people have village mentality. I can never go. Going to there is like you. I remember when I applied for my visa I was going to go marry my wife to be. They asked me. I was just a student from Makerere. They asked me, "Do you do you have a house? They said, we need to know if you have attachments to Uganda. I was just feeling, I was like, what, 20, 22, 23? Do you have money in the bank account? I said, don't be silly. I just finished university. They said, do you have a house with a title in your name? I said, don't be silly too. I'm just a kid, just a young man. I want to go get married. I didn't want to stay in the US. I wanted to come back. And you know, I'm here, I'm working. But anyway, I think that we need to open the minds of people so that we can be able to prepare for a global world. Why is it that, you know, Maverick City comes and does a concert here, and we don't go to America and do a concert? Why?
We don't have support.
Why? Exactly, and that's why the government should be there. Why is Nigerian government, why is Rwanda government, why Kenyan government helping Kenyans to be able to externalize? For example, religious leaders. When I was in the US, I discovered that because of the Catholic Church, the numbers of priests, people signing up to be priests in America has plummeted. And who is the #1 provider of priests for the Catholic Church in Chicago and Texas? Kenya.
Really?
Kenyan.
They're Kenyan.
Kenyans.
Ah.
So imagine that. Kenya. Bebafaza Texas Mubaris. I mean, I don't understand why we do not have a well-organized system to externalize. Listen, all the effort we are putting in coffee is giving us $1.4 billion. And the diaspora, the Uganda diaspora right now, is bringing in $1.4 million. What if we actually got government support? We would be killing it.
Yeah.
Like Nigeria. So anyway, that's my question for that, my answer for that.
On that very question, that leads me to the next question. Just like 2 weeks ago, we had a very failed campaign that was called March to Parliament campaign, and it was like exposing the Speaker of Parliament and the MPs that they're corrupt. What's your take on that? Why did it fail, and why are Ugandans, you know, looking at the generator? Everyone wants to be in Parliament.
Well, the March to Parliament, I refuse to be part of that nonsense. First of all, corruption is, another word for corruption is stealing. Stealing is something from the heart. It's a choice of someone to stake that which doesn't belong to you. Like people who are looking to kill me. I have people who are looking to kill me because they want to grab my property. They want to steal our family property. That's why they want to kill me. So, but it's a matter of the heart. Corruption is when someone is in a position of power and they use that money wrongly. And we must therefore, the first place to start is not to shame them, because what these people, Larissa, call their names, shame them, this and that. So I said, no, I think we can do better if we preach. And we tell them what God's word says. Number two, there's a lot of political violence, because there's a lot of, when you go protest in Uganda, we don't have the freedom to protest. Because in Africa, this opposition type politics, it ended up being as a treason. So people are arrested, people are beaten, and then when you come in with force, you are met with kiboko. Hey! So I'm like, no, I don't think that that's the right way to go. Besides, I also got more information that the people sponsoring those protests were Western countries which were annoyed at Uganda for passing the anti-homosexuality law. And their real target, they were targeting the parliament and the honorable speaker, not because they were corrupt, as they were saying, but because they had passed a law against what? Homosexuality. So this was like punishment. This was attacks in a backhanded way. And I said, no, I'm not going to be a part of that. And then those who were protesting, leading the protest, at first said, no, we are not paid, we are not paid. But later, this last week, I've just seen Jim Spires, Agatha Akwaire, Sujui, who, and all of them, they are fighting over money. Money from the donors. So I said, no, please. And by the way, part of the reason why people are going to parliament is because there's no jobs.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to become
An MP.
everybody wants to be an MP.
Yeah, because there is good money there.
Everybody wants to be an MP, and if being an MP is what makes where you can get rich,
Yeah.
then they begin to become political. But I think that we should think bigger and greater.
Should go outside.
In my next podcast, I'll talk about other ways of making money apart from going into politics. I think tourism is a great area. I think externalization, working in the diaspora. I think that there are other areas of making money. There's new opportunities coming up with the technology of Airbnbs.
Yeah.
Rent someone's, you could rent a place like this and rent it out as an Airbnb, and you make money out of that. So there is other ways of making money that we can come up with apart from that. So I really think this whole issue of the Simanya Visa Parliament and let us march, Anita must resign, nonsense. Nonsense.
So what are we supposed to do?
Look, it's a long story. Even me, I lost my job because of corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was working with Father Lokodo. I was on the committee of the Anti-Pornography Act. They gave us money to buy the Lokodo machine. We were eating the money. And I said, no, Father Lokodo, we can't eat this money. And him and his whole team, there was a problem of tribalism, corruption. When I wrote to the IGG about it, Lokodo threw me out. I hesitate talking about because it's now dead. But anyway, they fired me. I lost my job. I had to go to IGG. IGG produced a report and said, Pastor is right. So I've been there talking about fighting corruption. Been there. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And even this Human Rights Commission, I think she's, was it Wagadia? The one who was a whistleblower and the 3 members of parliament. But she's a hero. But they don't want her because she's not political. So this whole thing is really not about fighting corruption. It's a political effort to make the parliament look bad because of homosexuality. And I will not be found amongst what? Sodomites.
Okay, Pastor. You made a podcast about Chitezi, and it was really sad that many people lost their lives and homes. But Andrew Menda, you tweeted on X that the Chitezi has led to the resurrection of Andrew Menda.
Yeah.
Why? He has been dead.
Andrew, first of all, Andrew wrote a very good piece, analyzing what has led to the Chitezi death. Huh? Brilliant. Brilliant. The corruption, the old ways of thinking, and this is the old Mwenda we used to know like 20 years ago.
Okay.
So when I read that piece, I'm like, wow, it took the death of 100+1 people in this trash dumpster landslide to die for Andrew Mwenda to come up. It's sad. It's absolutely sad. But Andrew Mwenda is, to me, is a reflection of Uganda's intelligentsia, which has a lot of potential, but we're just not making it.
Why? Because of money related?
I don't know. I'd like to, if you can look at me in the eye, I think that in some ways Chitezi is a great reflection of Uganda. We're a country with tremendous potential. Because the trash could be turned into energy and it could be able to drive electricity. The trash could be recycled and we have good stuff. But unfortunately, it's just being dumped old school. Old school.
Everywhere.
And actually, all the cities in Uganda are having a trash experience. Then people are living next to the dumpster. My God. Flies. Diseases. Smells. In some ways, many of us are living. But when you see the Chitezi complex among us, you could actually speak a whole lot of things about this Chitezi thing. I mean, we dump everywhere. When you compare the Uganda's ethics of how we deal with trash, Buvera, vis-a-vis other countries like Tanzania, vis-a-vis Rwanda, You don't find the same you don't find the same trash. It's like our psyche, we become chitezi. I call it the acquired chitezi, what was it? Deficiency syndrome. No, it's acquired chitezi integrated deficiency syndrome. If you look at some of the way people are corrupt, that's chitezi. If you look at the entrance of immorality, sexual immorality, the music industry that has become so vulgar, our girls selling themselves, like what was this recent concert on Sunday?
That French guy.
The French guy,
yeah.
And our girls throwing themselves at him. That's chitezi. That's chitezi. Chitezi. So in many ways I could actually preach a sermon of many series of what happened to the journalists. Chitezi effect. Of what happened to the common person. Chitezi effect. I mean, I sometimes look at people dumping buveras in swamps, wetlands.
In the trenches.
People staying in the most. We are in ghetto. In some ways, I think Kampala is like chitezi. We are all on top of each other.
We are in slums. Yeah.
We are even used to sewage.
Yeah, we are used to that.
We are used to sewage. I was having an office outside Makerere, but every time it rained, the School of Veterinary Medicine, okay, they had this dirty water, whether it was from, they would release it and would get through to come towards Katanga whenever it rained. Even in Wandegea, there are apartments that keep their sewage, and when it rained, they throw it into the public roads to flow. There's a chitezi. There's a way in which something is very wrong with us as a people. We have lost our dignity. Even the way we treat our toilets, because every place you go and you look at the toilets, even in executive places, you find that the toilets are broken, you find that the toilet doesn't work, you find that the toilet seat is broken. There's a very big chitezi mindset on us, and we need to report.
And who are we going to blame on this? Whose fault is this?
I don't want to be in blame games. I think there's a decline in our integrity. It's a corruption we don't want to face. It's a decline in our integrity. It's a decline as a country. We need moral renewal. People have lost the moral sanity. They are. I mean, the same thing I see over here. I see other cities that are in decline. We need more, renewal. I actually have thought, people have said we need a new dumpster. I'm like, no, we need a new city. And I'm looking, Kampala was built on 7 hills. And now it's on 21 hills. So I'm looking for 21 hills so I can rebuild a new city.
Pastor, where are you going?
A new city.
A new city.
I'll get alien skin, you will get, but he has to promise me not to what? Bring a Nicola. No, alien skin will have his heel. I can have him as a musician over there. And then on one side, I can be able to get my other friends. Each of them has a heel. No, Eddie Kenzo will give him a valley.
Why your buddy?
Yeah, I'll explain another time.
Okay, Pastor. So my last question. On 11th August of this year, 2024, you tweeted that some people want to kill you. And everyone was worried. Some people commented funny things. If you're a man of God, why don't you just go? They shoot you, you go to heaven. And it's a weird situation we're in. Who wants to kill you? That's the question that we have. Like, who are these people that want to kill Pastor?
First of all, there were land grabbers that kept coming and threatening to kill me because they wanted to steal our family property land. And they say they are returnees from Iraq. They are gunslingers. They're like Sobi. They said they're like Sobi gangsters. And I reported the case to the police, and I was hoping that the case would go to court. Somehow the case didn't go to court. That's when I went to the States and I came back. And like the second Sunday, it started. The funny phone calls, people calling me, they're trying to find where I am. People with guns holding a roadblock at night, like 10, 11. People coming on this motorcycle, 3 people. One is dressed in military uniform, one is civilian, carrying a big AK-47, and they start looking through, and apparently they're looking for me. And my neighbors told you somebody's looking for you.
How did you know
And
that they were looking for you?
then my God told me, Pastor, don't come. They're trying to come into my house. So they are looking for me. And so I had to go under. I had to get away from my home. I actually haven't been at my house for the last couple weeks because I am waiting for this. I wrote to the Inspector General of Police. I wrote to the military. I wrote to everybody that is important. Said, look, people want to kill me. I don't know why. I mean, is it because of land? I don't know. Is it because of LGBTQ? I've not known them. I debate them, but I've not known them to try and kill me. Although sometimes, people are very unhappy because the recent case that we won in court made people lose a lot of money. I hear they picked a lot of money from these Europeans and American embassies. I'm told.
So they promised they're gonna win
the case. And because I joined the case and I was a defender, they lost a lot of money. They lost a chance. So I don't know if those are the ones. I've asked the state to intervene. I lean more to thinking that these are land grabbers because I've had them come and say, we will kill you. We will kill you to grab your land.
Wow.
That's a problem. The truth is we actually have people die in our country because people want to take their jobs. People want to take their land. So we do, and security has to be improved. If you see yourself threatened, you need to reach out to the police. That's why police exist. Now, I was surprised by some of the silly responses of people. They're like, Pastor, why are you going away to hide? Why don't you go? Jesus will keep you, or if you die, it is your time. Now, there's a lot to discuss on that issue because the idea of dying before your time, God has a time for people. God has time for people. If you die before your time, it's called manslaughter. It's called murder. It's a capital offense, both in the Bible and in law. It's called, and then it's extenuated if someone thinks about it before. There can be an accidental.
Yeah.
That's called, is that manslaughter or is that murder? When it's accidental is what? Is that manslaughter? I think maybe manslaughter. And then if it's intentional, it's murder. And then if it is with the premeditated plan, anger, it's called violence with malice aforethought. If you have malice, someone who is just full of anger.
Yeah.
So God doesn't want people to die. It's Satan. And we know Satan is like the one, he comes to kill, to steal, and to destroy.
Yeah.
But Jesus came that we may have life and life abundant. So God doesn't want us to die. So we should never, in fact Jesus, there are times they wanted to kill Jesus and he had to evade them.
No.
There is a book, in the book of John chapter 6 there was an event, I think the Feast of Tabernacles. Jesus didn't go because they were looking for him.
Yeah.
But he went there on the last, and then the people say, and we need to know when our time has come. But we should never hand ourselves to our enemies to kill us. Because that's like suicide. It's also a crime against God. The Bible says, thou shalt not kill. Don't participate in removing life, your life, or anyone else's life.
That's silly, Pastor, because the person who told you, they can't also go there.
Exactly. But I have some fans. I'm glad that you're one of my fans. Yeah. I have some who don't like me.
And they are fans.
Especially homosexual type groups. They want me to die.
Yeah.
Then I have others who keep prodding me to create artificial wars with government. Oh, criticize this one. Oh, attack this one. You are not a good pastor if you don't. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. But if an issue comes up and I have to speak about it, I speak about it with respect, like with President Kagame. I've shared my disagreement with him, and I've given him an idea of what he should do concerning that. But I'm in the process of researching on these people, and then number two, I'm waiting for security to be given. That's why they have VIPPU. You know, if you're a very important person, there's a threat, potential threat on your life, they give you. I've always wanted to be a free spirit. You know?
So anytime you're going to have academia?
No. Someone who can be able to guard you. By the way, when I went to America recently, the thing my American friends told me, he said, Martin, you gotta really be a real American. I said, what do you mean? He says, a real American, you need how to shoot a gun and chew tobacco. I said, tobacco no. So, yeah. But I will shoot a gun. So I actually took lessons on learning how to shoot. And look, everybody in their homes, they have guns. Most of everybody. They have what? Guns. Especially in the South. It's part of the culture, like, you know, Karamajongs. Yeah. You see how Karamajongs are? They carry what? Guns. Yeah, so...
you can actually sign for a gun here in Uganda.
Yes, you can.
You can also have one.
Well, I don't know. Part of me, the American side of me likes, yeah, why don't you carry one? The Ugandan side of me says, some people may not be too happy because, anyway, whichever. But you know what? I ask people to pray for me. Many people have been blessed by my work at Makerere University. There was one of my followers, she's a Muslim moreover. She said, Pastor, we don't want you to die. If these people don't give you, please, you go back to America for now until the thing is settled down. But I don't want to be a fugitive in my country, or go away. I want to speak to my people. I want to be a blessing to them. I want to be with my fans.
What can we do to save Pastor?
I think one is to pray for me. I really think that prayer is important. Some also reaching out, hey, we care about you. You know, when someone is in trouble,
emotional.
Yeah, and then also when you are like a fugitive, you're not in your normal posture. You need support. You need financial support. You can make a donation because you have to be moving place to place. A contribution, hey, we know you. But pray for me. Let me know that you care, and then where you're able to support. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to build a new city. I really am looking for a place to build my new city. In the new city, there will be no thieves.
No corruption.
We will have a gate. Thieves, this is where you go back. In my new city, there will be no sexual deviants, rapists, okay? People with gender identity confusion. In my city, which I'm going to build, there will be no women dressing in men's clothing and acting like men. No, in my city.
What else, Pastor?
In my new city. Work.
Everyone has
like Magufuli. Hapo ni kazi tu. Hapo ni kazi tu. Hapo here. In my new city, every week, Saturday, cleaning. In my new city, Gen Zs, they will have no phone addictions. Phone, you will only use it for a certain number of hours, then you put it away. I see so many Gen Zs addicted to the phone. 1, 2, 3 on the phone. 1, 2, 3 on the phone. No phone addiction. We will even have timing.
For the phone.
And
the government is trying to
digital addiction. No, I'm going to be dealing with that issue next week.
They want to introduce phones and
stuff. But maybe the last thing is I would love for you guys to reach out to Makerere University, reach out to the University Council, reach out to Mr. Nawangwe, and let him know the work that Pastor Semper and the Born Agains have done. And the fact that he's received endorsements from all the groups, and they shouldn't delay. They should stop discriminating against religious minorities.
Wow.
Yeah, my phone number is 0772 641028. That is 0772 64 10 28.
Yeah, Pastor, I think those are my questions.
Yeah.
Hope to see you again.
Yeah. Okay, well, why don't you invite who will be the next fan?
Yeah, please, if you're there and you're pastor's biggest fan, because I'm fan number 1, so
Ah!
you're my fan number 2. Please, you can reach us out on the forms that we're going to put down here, so that you can come and also ask the questions. Stay blessed.
All right, thank you. It's been wonderful to hang out with you on my podcast. I hope that we can be able to keep doing this once a week. The hot questions from my fans. Be educated. We want you to have you next time. Most likely it should be a guy.
Yeah.
You asked
Gender balance.
your questions were too hard. It made me tired. All right, bye-bye.